So the science concepts are the larger concepts of science that it connects to, such as, for this experiment, perhaps the idea that some chemicals change color in the presence of certain macromolecules. That would be a science concept that we're using in the experiment. Evidence gathered. Evidence gathered is your data. You put the stuff in the test tubes, you add the indicator, you mix them up, you wait the right amount of time. The evidence gathered would be that in the test tube testing for simple carbohydrates, and then in test tube A, the solution remained blue. In test tube B, the solution changed to orange. And because you know which of those test tubes had which particular indicator, you know the one that changed color is the one that indicates what's in that particular part of the Chick-fil-A meal. So the evidence gathered, like I said, you generally will form some kind of a table with it, like bun, cheese, chicken, and then which of the test tube, and then the test tubes that you had the samples in, and which one, and what the results were for each of those test tubes. Then what you do is you move on from there to claims. Claims are assertions or conclusions based on the evidence. So, for instance, you went ahead and, excuse me, you put cheese in all of the test tubes, and the test tube for complex carbohydrates showed that there was complex carbohydrates in the cheese. And so one of your claims would be cheese, the cheese in the Chick-fil-A meal contains complex carbohydrates. Reasonings. Why does the evidence support that claim? The evidence supports that claim. Under reasonings, you would say, because the indicator for complex carbohydrates changed colors when mixed with the cheese, there are complex carbohydrates in cheese. So you got your claim, there are complex carbohydrates in cheese. You have your reasoning, because when the indicator for complex carbohydrates change color, that shows that there is indeed that show change color. That's why. And then the conclusion or the explanation are full sentences linking the claim, the evidence, and the reasoning. So, for instance, the conclusion might be something like, there are complex carbohydrates in the cheese because the chemical indicator changed for complex carbohydrates, changed color in the cheese sample. That would be your conclusion or your explanation as to why the claims are backed up by the evidence and the reasoning that connects those two things in a more formal way.